Has your life currently been feeling like you're trying to walk through mud and that no matter what action you want to take, because you know what action you should be taking, it just takes extreme effort and exertion to go through there? Well, Mars and Saturn in Aries are saying hi, and I'm saying hi as well. I'm Amia from Resonance Astrology, and today we're going to be meditating on Mars and Saturn coming together in the sign of Aries. Mercury is also in this mix, but Mercury, being a faster moving planet, is already kind of leaving the bunch. Saturn and Mars together are they're still not separating quite yet. They're definitely present throughout this whole week, and this is why I wanted to dedicate this meditation today specifically to Mars and Saturn together. And one thing that I want to incorporate in today's video is a bit of a storyline that is gonna come together, and it's gonna make all sense, guys. We're gonna talk about the 36 Chambers of Shaolin, which I personally find an amazing movie to be watching right now. I'm not specifically a big movie person, but when I do like movies, I tend to rewatch them over again and again. And this is just one of those movies that I really like and that has really stuck with me ever since the first time I watched it many, many years ago. And I think it's just full of wisdom. It's this old, kung fu movie. But again, I think the wisdom is always here. And what happens basically in the story, it's focused on Sante, which is initially in the story a fine young lad studying in his village. And basically what happens, there is a whole uproar because barbarians are coming into the village and they want to impose their own rulerships, and this kind of brings him into trouble because his teacher, Mr. Ho, Mr. Ho is kind of in tune with them and wants to side on them. And like a early question that is present in the movie is basically, should somebody who is cultivated, who is educated, even fight at all? And his answer is basically, well, no. It's more like, you don't seek violence, but when something needs to be protected, you can't just stand there either. And so this kind of happens. They don't just stand there either, but shit hits the fan, and basically, essentially, this gets uncovered. It gets uncovered that a lot of the students of Mr. Ho are part of the rebellion, and so everyone involved gets punished or gets killed, and his family also gets into trouble and gets killed, sadly, very early on in the movie. I'm not spoiling this. And so he's there with his friend, and his family also got murdered. And they're like, if we just had if we just had this in us to fight, to be able to actually defend and do something. Like right now we've been studying, we have this knowledge in our head, and it's like very Mercury in the bunch, right? But I actually want to go and learn Kung Fu. And there's a few days ago, they were like at Mr. Ho, and they were a few of the people, they learned Kung Fu at the Shaolin Temple. And so that's the way where the idea gets birthed to go there. And we're going to skip a bit forward here because I don't want to recite the whole movie. You can go check it out yourself. But essentially, Sante arrives at the temple, and initially he's full of fire, he's full of purpose, and he's like, I'm going to come here and I'm going to learn Kung Fu. And that is very much Mars in Aries. And what happens then? He spends 1 year just cleaning. He spends 1 year just cleaning, and you can kind of feel his frustration building up. And he's kind of like, well, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I didn't come here for this. And that's exactly how Saturn Mars can feel. And you're ready to move, you want to do the things, you want to act, but then life just kind of slows you down or puts you somewhere that feels completely unrelated. And that's not just random, that's Saturn in the mix, okay? And before you're allowed to act, you're being taught how to be in the space where action actually matters and where you actually need to put it. And there's this moment, and that is again also very early on in the movie, he realizes, he's like standing there and he's like, why am I doing this? And one of the masters walks past him and realizes like he's full in his thoughts. Sante is full in his thoughts. And he's like, hey, Sante, is like everything okay? And he's like, well, I thought I came here to learn Kung Fu, but I've just been cleaning here for over a year now. And the master smiles and he's like, well, you know, if you wanted to learn, you just needed to ask. We don't know if somebody wants to learn if they never ask us. And I love that because it shows that Mars wants to act, but it doesn't always know how to enter the process properly. And then what does Sante do once he kind of gets the yes from the master of like, yes, you can come and learn Kung Fu. Like, where do you want to start? In which chamber do you want to start? And he goes, okay, what is the most advanced chamber? And the master is like, well, the 35th chamber is the most advanced chamber. And he's like, okay, I'm going to start there. I'm going to go to the 35th chamber immediately in the beginning. And of course, he gets there and he understands absolutely nothing, because he gets there and it's just all these monks and other students chanting and reciting, I think probably the Tao Te Ching or the I Ching or verses from there. And it's about like learning, like repeating the mantras. And he's completely out of depth. He's like, what? I thought I'm gonna learn Kung Fu, but the most advanced chamber is reciting things that I don't even know what the F they're talking about. And that's very much Saturn humbling Mars in this whole process. You know, basically like, you can't just enter the space, but that doesn't mean you can... Like, eventually there's going to be the time where it's going to be understandable for you to get there, but not in the moment. And obviously this shifts everything for him, and he runs out and he's like, what am I have got myself into? And then he obviously starts in the very, very first chamber. He gets humbled very quickly, because instead of pretending that he's ready, he says, okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to be humble. And that's when Mars and Saturn are in alignment, right? You're not blocking yourself, but you're also not being denied. You know, you choose to meet the process exactly where you are. And this is, for me, the core message, I feel like, of this movie. Obviously, other things happen there as well, and we could be dissecting this whole thing even further. Maybe one important thing that also happens, like, you know, gradually he goes through all the chambers, and he actually is able to kind of go through them in record time. Like, in essence, in the totality, he only takes 5 years to go through them. But I think that is also something that we have to remember, that there is an intelligence of how things are evolving and how much time they need to take, and the perfection of being exactly where you are and focusing exactly on the chamber, on the level that you are at right now in life. Again, I could bring the whole gaming metaphor here again. Just take your life year right now. Let's just say you're 25, you're at level 25 of your life. You're at the 25th chamber in your life. And to understand the 31st chamber, well, it's practically impossible, but because you first got to get there, and you might walk in there level 31 and you're just like, what? You find these monks chanting, you're like, what? And so you have to get back to the present moment and meet the moment exactly where it is. Learn the skills that you exactly need to be learning right now. And what I found amazing, I've been bringing this up yesterday in the video as well, is this whole process of Wu Wei, which is something that is discussed often again in the Tao Te Ching, in the I Ching, in the Tao. There's many ways for the Tao, and Tao means the way. But how Wu Wei comes in here is, Wu Wei, it's hard to really translate Wu Wei exactly. If you translate it literally, it kind of means in action, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do anything about it. It means that you shouldn't force. Don't force things that don't want to flow. Right? Like, don't force yourself to go through the fifth chamber if you don't understand what's going on there. Don't try to be a master of something when you don't have the knowledge. Like, be humble about that. Saturn and Aries, often folks, Saturn and Aries that I have met, there's this urge of like, I want to do it now, and this disappointment that when you can't do something immediately on the first try, you're not good at it. And of course, that's not true. It just means you need to refine your skill, and that good things take time to develop. And Saturn and Aries kind of has a hard time to do that. Obviously, Mars here is also like, I just want to rush through. I want to get there as fast as possible. But the wisdom here is, you know, and Sante also manages to go through the chambers in record time, right? But it's like, go slow to go fast. Focus on exactly what you should be doing, so then you can go faster, actually. Because if you're trying to do everything all at once, it will just unnecessarily stall the process. And I think that is a lot of, you know, like, start with that metaphorical first chamber, whatever that is right now in your life. And start with the repetition, with the things that feel slow or even pointless. Like, just cleaning, like Sante, just cleaning up everything. Just cleaning up everything. And then over time, the movement changes. And it becomes more precise. And it becomes more efficient. And it becomes less force. And that is Wu Wei. Not doing nothing, but doing exactly what needs to be done without exerting, you know, this energy where it feels like you're walking through mud. I feel like there's a lot of surrender that is involved here. And that is, once again, also a concept that I think it's hard to explain, right? Because even if I sit here and I explain it, it's something that you're actively doing, and at the same time, you're not really actively doing. And that's exactly what Wu Wei is. And that's why I think this process right now, this week especially, feels so frustrating, right? Because Mars and Saturn are like pushing that gas and brake pedal at the same time. Like, you know, you're not moving as fast as you want to, and it might be because you're blocked. Because you're pushing both of these pedals at the same time. Instead of finding like the middle ground and the path of least resistance. I think this is what the answer is right now this week. Like, finding the path of least resistance. And surrender is not a weak thing to do. I think we have this notion here in the West that, you know, surrender means you're being a little bitch, quite frankly. And how can you just let, like, there's this notion, I feel like, where it's all about, oh, so you're just going to sit in your room and do nothing. And no, that's absolutely not what surrender is. That's not what Wu Wei is. It's doing what is required of you in the present moment. And it actually, I think surrender has a lot more to do with doing than it has to do with not doing. And at the same time, you are also not doing. I think I started laughing here because I feel like if some of you are going to understand exactly what I mean by that. Because it is moving with the forces of nature, right? Like, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. My favorite Taurus season wisdom. And we are in Taurus season right now. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. The Tao is just as much about not doing as it is about doing, and trusting that there is a divine timing component in the things that are meant to happen. And this is something that really we're also observing with astrology when we look at cycles. And one of the things we are trying to do is like kind of tap into these cycles, because we realize that there is a higher intelligence working, and maybe you have a transit, you know, you're doing all the things and things are just not working, and all of a sudden the timing of that is over and it feels like the way is just cleared. And right now is the time of least resistance, and you can just, all of a sudden, what seemed impossible for the last 2.5 years suddenly is possible. And yet at the same time, you still had to do this process. You still had to do the cleaning up. You still had to move through the mud for some reason to then get out of it. Isn't that so interesting? Isn't that so frustratingly interesting, guys? So, how do you do that? How do you do that? I think one of the wisdoms here right now with Aries season is to focus on coming to the present moment, right? We did a few of these exercises in the Aries new moon video. If you're watching this video of me for the first time, well, hi. Go check out the Aries new moon video. But also don't worry, one of the exercises that I really like to be doing right now is placing one hand on your chest and then just taking a deep breath in and then waiting, not suffocating, but just waiting. Eventually, you're going to really feel your heartbeat, and that's going to be that life force inside of you that is fighting to stay alive, of course, and that's Mars. That's Aries energy. Then you obviously breathe out again. But it's just about feeling your heart, because feeling your heart in your body instantly kind of brings you back to the present moment. And that's what Taurus wants as well. That's not just what Aries wants, that's what Taurus wants as well of us. Aries is more about like survival, and Taurus is more about the joy of being in the present moment. Aries is again that heartbeat of like, whoa, I'm alive, I'm gonna survive, there's blood rushing through me. And Taurus is like, how can I create what can I do so that the present moment in front of me is actually a joy to experience and go through? So that going on a train, going to the mall, going to buy groceries is actually an experience that is enjoyable in my nervous system, because I do believe it's possible. These are the forces that are working together right now. I love both of them for what they're doing. Yes, and what I can also reiterate is the quote we focused on yesterday is, no matter how slow or fast you're going, the path in front of you stays the same. If you're starting at level 1, if you're starting in chamber 1, the path is going to stay the same to go through all the 35 chambers. And maybe you're wondering by now why it's called the 36th chambers if there's only 35. Well, for that, you're going to have to watch the movie. I'm not going to spoil that one. Yes, but again, the mountain stays the same. The path stays the same. But you can try and rush through it. Or as Ram Dass says, you can do it like it's a dance. You can do it like it's a great weight on your shoulders, or you can do it like it's a dance. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm here bringing you the reminders, because that's what I often need in this moment. I need these reminders to get back to the present moment, because oftentimes we forget. This is why these practices of repetition are so important, because we constantly forget in our day-to-day lives. We constantly forget, and we regress back to the former versions of ourselves, or to versions of ourselves that we don't actually want to be or strive towards to. And so we need remembrance. And that's really actually the wisdom of the 35th chamber when they're reciting the mantras, staying in remembrance of what is actually important. That's why these holy texts can be survivable and good to like go through again and again. I have also been reading through the Tao Te Ching a bit more these past few days and weeks, and there was a time in my life where this was much more important, but it's, essentially, there's one time you really have to go through it to actually understand what it is, because nothing in life can fully be understood unless it has been felt. And then you do it, and you feel it, and you're like, oh, I get the wisdom. I get what's written in the book. I get what they're saying. I'm feeling it. I understand it on an embodied level. And then life happens and you forget. But that's the point where you can go back in remembrance, because what has once been felt is remembered in every cell of your body. And this is what can happen when we do these practices, when we go over the things again and again to stay in remembrance. So, one other thing that has helped me greatly is just going out in nature, which is Taurus season, and just putting your bare feet into the ground, touching some grass, or putting it into a cold river, putting it in cold water. Just like fully feel your feet on the ground, that you're feeling rooted. And one other thing that helps me greatly, which I have been doing pretty much every night, or even every morning, because Aries is such head-heavy energy, and that is just like kind of giving myself a bit of a head massage, and using my fingers, like using the tips of my fingers to just like kind of bring my head into the space, to like feel my head, because sometimes, everything can feel all over the place, and then just like feeling your head, like literally grounding your head with your hands. This is Aries and Gemini energy. Aries rules the head, Gemini rules the hands. This is what we're going to need with Uranus and Gemini and Neptune and Saturn and Aries. Like just using your hands to ground your head and ground your thoughts. And that has been an amazing practice. And again, just taking your time, realizing that if you truly take just 20 minutes out of your day to genuinely rest, again, go slow to go fast. Go slow so you can go fast. And then go fast when it's required of you. That is Wu Wei. That is being in the natural forces that want to align and want to happen. If you should be sprinting a marathon right now, yes, go fast. But then take it slow. But do also really take it slow then. Do what is required of you in the present moment. If it's required of you to take a job interview and go there, do it. Do it fully alive in the present moment. And if it's not, if it's required of you to be fully present, cooking a meal, cooking a dish, do that with your full attention in your present moment. That is Wu Wei. That is Wu Wei. And that is what Saturn and Mars want of us right now. Not forcing things if they don't want to happen, and getting very creative about it, because Saturn in Aries is in its fall, and planets in fall always tend to get very creative about how they do things. So don't be surprised if you find new unconventional ways in how you are handling these. Well, wherever Aries is present in your chart, right? Like depending on which house Aries is active in your chart, this is going to be the topics where Saturn Aries kind of asks of you to do it in a different way. Do it in a more unconventional way. Do it in a way that you didn't think will bring you results, but actually might be the smarter choice in the long run. So this is what I have for you guys. If you do watch the 36 Chambers of Shaolin, please let me know down in a comment. And if you have watched it, also let me know. Let me know what you thought of it. It's for me, again, such a great reminder, and I love the the masters. There's multiple masters in the temple, and they're just watching from the background, and Sante or maybe another student is doing something, and they're just like and then he gets it and he has the realization, and they're like, yeah. I love that sentiment so much. There's always wisdom around us. I think that is what I'm going to leave you with. Try to be Wu Wei. Try to take the path of least resistance. Easier said than done, but it absolutely can be done. I think it's like, not that I know so much about surfing, but that's just coming to my mind as a metaphor, is that, a surfer also goes, I think it's like a beautiful symbiosis that happens here, where you kind of surrender to the wave, because obviously the wave is much more powerful than you ever will be. And you kind of try to take the path of least resistance to ride it. So this beautiful moment of alchemy can happen. And I think that's also what we're being asked to do in our lives right now, is for this beautiful moment of alchemy to happen in the Aries parts of our chart, where it really feels like a symbiosis of no going against the powerful forces that are obviously much more smarter than us. It feels like a wave that is just gonna, tip us over if we try to outsmart it. But also being brave and courageous enough to go in and ride it and take the path of least resistance. So we can actually get the high and be like, oh yes, we are overcoming something, right? Don't forget that Mars is about overcoming things, because Mars wants victory for us in our lives. Okay. I'm gonna stop it for here. Sometimes I want to finish things and then I just keep on yapping because more and more things are coming up. But I guess this is also, if something wants to come through me, then this is also the path of least resistance, and I should just take it and say what needs to be said until nothing wants to come out of my mouth anymore. So I guess I'm practicing Wu Wei right now in the present moment as I'm finishing up this video. We're going to meet each other soon with Uranus in Gemini horoscopes. Until then, I wish you a lovely time. Much, much love. And we're going to talk to each other very soon.